You know, I really thought this game would win GOTY, but we got this instead. Anyway, the game is coming out on Steam in January, and honestly, what the fuck is a one-year exclusive? I saw this game in late 2023 when a trailer dropped in PlayStation State of Play. It had great graphics and looked like it had a fun battle system with characters combining their skills to make bigger skills, and it was an open world, with a massive scale of cities and big ass towns and stuff between them. I was immediately hooked, and I wanted to play it as soon as it came out, but I couldn't, because I didn't play any of the Final Fantasy series, but I did know their reputation. JRPG has 3 big names in Japan, which is Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, and Shin Megami Tensei. And I hadn't played any of them. Anyways, I was down to try some of that original homebrew JRPG taste. So I began to search how to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and enjoy it to the fullest. And I found out that the Final Fantasy VII hole was a bigger one than I had expected. Okay, let's start by looking at what the developers said. They said you can just play the game without playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is total bullshit. It does give you a fast sum up of the first game, but summing a 30-hour game in 5 minutes is just stupid. They probably said this so more people would buy the game, but if you want to know the story of almost a 60-hour story game, you have to at least play Final Fantasy VII Remake. You don't have to play the Intergrade DLC, just play the main game. But if you're like me and you want to play the world-renowned JRPG that so many people love, and you want to understand everything about the story, then you have come to the right place. Welcome to the Final Fantasy VII tutorial. First, you want to play the original that came out in 1997. Yes, the remake lineup has split the original game into 3 parts, and you'll get spoiled. But just trust me, you need to play this to understand that shit later. Okay, next you're going to watch a movie, but actually you have to play a game between that called Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core that came out on the PSP. But it also got a remake in 2022 called Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion that is more like a graphic enhanced version because the gameplay and cutscenes are the exact same. Then you watch a movie that's called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. The reason you play Final Fantasy Crisis Core before, even though the movie came out first, is because the character Zack. He shows up in the movie and you wouldn't know his story that well and why he's there if you don't play Crisis Core. So after you watch the movie, you should play Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, which is a PS2 game because there are elements of that story that appear in Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade DLC. This game is not an action RPG or a JRPG, it's actually a shooter game, with the main character being Vincent, one of the final characters you get in Final Fantasy VII. After finishing all of that, you can finally play Final Fantasy VII Remake that came out in 2020, and after that, play the Intergrade DLC because Yuffie's story from the DLC has a short appearance in the main game of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There are other games with the name Final Fantasy VII like First Soldier, but we can't play that anymore. And a mobile game including all the story from the original and more, but it's blocked in my region. Okay, let's sum this all up. If you want to understand Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's story, you play the original 1997 version on PS1 or one of the gazillion ports it has, then play a PSP game or remake of that game, then watch a movie that has aged quite nicely, then play a shooter type game on the PlayStation 2, then play the Final Fantasy VII 2020 Remake and Intergrade DLC, then you can finally play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Damn. But, I'm sorry, I've been lying to you this whole video. Even if you play all these games, you won't understand Rebirth's story.